Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back again, everybody. We're back with another fragrance review right here, guys, on my final day off. Now, before I head back to work, guys, I'm gonna talk about the most demanded from you guys out of the new Amouage Essences Collection. That's right, they released a new trio of Essences Collection, and we all know that the last three was, pretty well received by the fragrance community. Some people loved it, some people really loved it, and so of course Amouage continued it by giving us another fresh new trio of essences in the collection. Now, this one right here is the one that a lot of y'all are really the most excited to hear about, or at least the most curious to hear about, because of its resemblance to one of, to me, my favorite fragrances of all time. So can't wait to talk about it, guys. Let's go. And before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys, okay? Liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel as we head towards 28,000 subscribers. So please continue all your support, guys. Deep dive into my over 900 no hype videos and shop at our affiliate links, as well as with our friends of the channel that do help us out. Thank you so much for all your support. And the fragrance that we'll be talking about today is none other than one of the latest 3 essences collection from Amouage. This is none other than Amouage Sequence. Yes, Amouage Sequence Extrait de Parfum, guys. And I got this relatively inexpensive sample from Venba Fragrance. And Venba is one of the most reputable and, great discounters. I mean, they've been around for a while now, guys, run by my homie Kushik. And I do have a link below if you want to go down there and check out all their fragrances. They have everything under the sun. Most of them are selling out because of the great prices. But most importantly, you can get inexpensively the samples of the essences, the new essences collection, through Venba. Again, I will link you guys below. Thank you, Venba, for the very, very quick shipping. Okay, so what is up with this fragrance right here, Amouage Sequence, and why is this the most requested, or why are people most curious about this, despite the other ones in the trio also being very interesting, right? So this one, I wanted to get this out of the way because I myself had the same curiosity, because this fragrance right here is made by Julien Rasquinet, maker of Frederic Malle the Moon. And if you look at the fragrance pyramid, there are some similarities between the Moon and Sequence, guys, okay? Now, I can see the reason why this was done, and the big reason is that Frederic Malle from 5 years ago, when I was harping about the Moon, I have a full bottle somewhere down here, and to me the Moon is one of the top of all time, right? Top 50, top 20 maybe even. And I would say that the Frederic Malle of 5 years ago really is not the same as the Frederic Malle right now. Matter of fact, at this point, Frederic Malle himself stepped down from the company, not even being involved with running Frederic Malle. And we can argue that their latest releases haven't been really that great compared to Frederic Malle of old. So it makes sense for Mr. Julien Rasquinet to take part of that formula, and put it in a bigger vehicle, a more popular vehicle that is popular nowadays. And Amouage is not only popular with niche heads and old heads, yes, you're probably an old head right now, but also for the mainstream. The mainstream is starting to like Amouage fragrances, by trying out fragrances like Outlands, for example, from the last Essences collection. And they're starting to love Amouage, okay? So it makes sense to take part of that formula and put it in here. Now, of course, the big curiosity is, does this smell like the Moon? Is this a true resurgence of the Moon? Is it not? And if it's not, what are the differences? So, of course, I bought a ton of samples of Sequence to actually try it out. And I will give you guys my findings right here, right now. Let's go spray this thing right now. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here, Amouage Sequence Extrait de Parfum, part of the new trio of essences released by Amouage. Starting with this opening, guys, and I know that there's a pyramid, but when it comes to oud fragrances and fragrances with intense notes, most of them actually rise up to the top, and it's usually the first impact that you might even get to smell parts of the base notes. Okay, so this fragrance right here opens with the fruity notes of raspberry and lychee, which is pretty similar to the moon. That's why a lot of people were talking about the moon. And then you also have some light saffron spice. You do have a nice dark rose, as well as the early appearance of the base notes that are kind of here consistently, leather and oud. All right, now let me describe this right here, that this opening starts off with the almost similar lychee and raspberry, kind of like sour tart fruitiness right out of the bat. But as you all know, this also goes with rose, which is slightly dark, and it also goes with the oud and leather blend. Now, one thing I will say about this oud leather blend is that it's a lot more leathery than oud, and the oud right here is earthy and leathery to me. No funk, no poopiness, right? No, nothing like that. It doesn't even smell animalic to me. And I would even say that it's more leather than oud. Okay, and some people that have smelled this fragrance will even say that the oud doesn't exist, and that's because it doesn't have those aspects, the funk. It doesn't have the animalic nature. It doesn't have the poopy smell that, for example, the night has, and even the moon has a generous amount of oud that's actually not here. It's a lot more leather than, you know, oud over leather. Now, here in this intro though, because you have an abundance of fruity notes, these berry notes, lychee is a nice, it's not a berry, but still it's got this kind of like pink, fruity smelling, like, smell, goes great with raspberry. Since you've got an abundance of that in the intro, plus a nice deep rose, I would say that everything is still very balanced. It's almost like a rose raspberry leather that, to me, actually, now that I'm smelling this again, it more reminds me of Widian London, right? Widian London, if you've ever tried that one, that's a great perfume that I still should review. Widian London is mostly like raspberry and leather. And here I would say that it's more of that versus something like the moon, which actually has a lot more, like a generous amount of oud. Like you can literally get the oud in Frederic Mall's The Moon, versus here, like I said, it's berry, it's rose, it's leather, maybe some slight saffron right here. I would say it's still very nice. It's just, I would say, not the same as Frederic Mall The Moon, at least the intro right here. And also, a lot of the strength is going to be at the intro of this fragrance. That is one thing I noticed, that this is kind of like an impact intro, probably because a lot of the notes are concentrated all together right here. The fruitiness, the raspberry, the berryness, the leather, the oud, and the rose come together right here in the intro. So there's a lot of impact. And I gotta say right here that the sillage and projection of this one, even with minimal sprays, is gonna be a wallop. It's not really beast mode, but to me, just with 2 sprays, I had an aura scent of this thing, which is really, really likable. And not to say I'm not taking away the nice intro of this really compared to the moon, but I would say that this intro is still pretty damn nice. Again, if you like fragrances like Widian London with berry, with some leather, I think you're gonna like this right here. Okay, there's absolutely zero funk, zero animalics here, zero poopiness here, zero barnyard on the intro of Sequence. So you will definitely enjoy a nice, rose, berry, and leather type of intro here, which is, again, not bad at all, and also impactful and also strong on the sillage and projection. Okay, so now let's head into the mid of this fragrance right here. Now, this fragrance definitely, I would say, settles down within 2 to 3 hours of wearing it. Like I said, this is an impact perfume. Within the first few sprays, you'll feel the power, the strength of this fragrance, as expected, as it is an Amouage. It's an Essences fragrance, so it's supposed to be strong in my opinion. I sprayed this more than a few times, so right now I can really feel the wallop in the air, the strong projection in the air. Now, as we go into the mid, guys, 3 hours in or 2 to 3 hours into this fragrance, it kind of settles down into something earthier and slightly sweet. So you still have the leather and the oud coming out, but the leather, I would say, the thing I'm going to say about the leather is that it never gets to a point where it's like, oh, it's too much. And I'm going to give credit right there, okay, that the leather is never too much in this fragrance to where it really, like, I don't like leather, especially big amounts of leather. Here it is absolutely well balanced, and even on the mid, like I said, it does settle down. And what takes over are some earthy elements. You've got some, you know, earthy halite, tonka bean, as well as, you know, some slight osmanthus, some nice sweet floral osmanthus right here in the mid. Again, settles it in. You got some nice floral osmanthus. The rose is still gonna be there. The leather is still gonna be there, guys. But one thing I'm gonna say, and again, compared to the moon, is that the moon just has infinitely more layers. I mean, there's just more depth and layers in the moon, where it goes into a lot more, you know, Middle Eastern, like Arabic, it is an Arabic perfume, whereas this one goes more into sweetness and earthiness and leatheriness. Again, it seems to me more designed for the mainstream rather than a literal Arabic perfume, like a desert gem that the moon is or was. This mid right here is more mainstream. Again, with more, you know, slight sweetness, earthiness, rose, still leather blaring out here with that oud combination. So I would say it's a more settled down period. Now, one thing I will say about this mid is that it really reinforces to me even more that this is really more for the mainstream. The fact that they never inserted any like animalic oud right here, and here in the mid as well, it's at a very like tame amount, balanced amount. Like all the notes are pretty balanced right here, to where it doesn't really scream like super, you know, Middle Eastern or super leathery out here. Even the rose is very balanced, you know. So I would say that the more I smell this fragrance, the more I go, oh, this is more like mainstream designed, compared to something like the moon, which is like, you know, it was part of a straight up like Arabic, Middle Eastern group of fragrances. Okay, and finally, let's look into the dry down right here, guys. Right here in the dry down, guys, I feel like there's patchouli here, which is not really written. It's not really on the notes, but it's also on the moon. They just said it's amberwood, okay? And then it's the leather, the oud, the amberwood. I feel like there is some patchouli right here. Because it gets really dark, woody, earthy down the line. And I would say that the oud, again, is more leathery, but it's also masked by the fact that there's also leather. So at the end of the day, you know, with amberwood being here, it's slightly sweet, but also a lot more of that earthiness. Really, the earthiness comes out at the dry down, I would say, even 5 to 6 hours into the fragrance, okay? But again, slight sweetness from the amber, but mostly you'll still get to smell that leather. You'll still get to smell that oud. That blend, I'm just gonna say it's a blend, continues on the dry down, guys. No special effects, nothing too special. I would say it's a standard, kind of like where everything else wears off. We're down to the bare bones of the fragrance, which is the leather and the oud, and the slight amber and some patchouli definitely, you know, adds in a little bit more, okay? But this dry down, underwhelming. You've already smelled it at the beginning of the fragrance, so it's just the same out here in this fragrance right here, Sequence. Okay, so what do I think of this fragrance right here, Amouage Sequence? First off, I like it. You know, I like the intro, but again, this is an intro that I have smelled in, you know, a fragrance like Widian London. Very, very similar effect that's brought out here. I don't know who made Widian London, but damn, it's kind of like the same. It's leather, it's fruitiness. This one is definitely not the moon. Even if they took elements from the moon, it's not the moon. This is definitely a lot more tuned to the mainstream, tuned to those that might actually turn away if they got to smell any barnyard oud or any incense that, you know, that might shy them away. but this is definitely for, I would say, those that are looking for a nice like fruity rose leather type of fragrance for the cold weather. I mean, again, I'm not taking away the fact that, yeah, it smells good, the impact is good, the blend is good, but this is no Frederic Malle the Moon. Without a doubt, it's not that. Moon definitely has a lot more Arabic, Middle Eastern dimensions to it compared to this one, although you have some similarities in the intro of this. And usage wise, guys, this one right here is perfect for the cold weather because you have the elements of leather, you have the elements of oud, elements of tonka bean right here and rose. So right now that I'm spraying this at a 40-degree, like California, middle of the night situation right here, this is actually perfect. It feels cozy, it feels nice. And again, it's the same feeling I get when I spray Julien London, like I said. I will say that this one right here is an upscale grabber. I mean, maybe it could be a grabber, but this is for, you know, upscale stuff, you know, or if your lifestyle is upscale, sure. This is a nice upscale grabber. And again, the fact that this one right here is tuned for the mainstream. This is a nice intro to fragrances like rose and leather and maybe even like slight leathery woody oud. This is a nice intro to that. I don't think it's gonna take you to the, you know, really deep end of oud collecting. It's a nice intro to that. It's nice, like, you know, slide in if you've never tried any of those, but definitely it is very usable at, you know, nighttime or even daytime. I'd say daytime cold situations. And also I want to say that this is unisex. Okay, I feel like the raspberry, the lychee, the rose, these are notes that are very unisex, that even, you know, women will like it. I liked it as a guy, of course. I like Julien London, I like the Moon, but I also feel like, you know, any sex, you know, any, you know, woman, anyone in between would like this fragrance as well. Very unisex indeed. Perfect for the cold. I feel cozy right here wearing this. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the performance of this one. This one obviously lasted over 12 hours, but let me say this, that it's not intense, all right? The most intense part of this fragrance really arguably is gonna be the first part going into the mid, but even in the mid, this fragrance actually settles down to a nice, comforting type of projection. Okay, that's one thing I will say, which is kind of different again from the Moon, which has different layers and some of them actually get stronger as it goes, but this is not one of those, but still long lasting. I'm just saying that this is actually a plus. I feel like if you are into mainstream perfumes and you're not quite ready for the continued, you know, pounding. That's something I said about the Moon. If you want to review my old Moon video, I said that you're getting like a pounding of all these notes, right? You know, you're not gonna get the pounding right here. You're not gonna get consistent like boom, 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 boom. It's just literally, it calms down and settles in, but then still it's a nice continuous lingering scent for over 12 hours easily. Amouage is not gonna let us down in that aspect right here on the performance. And finally, let's look at the cost of this fragrance right here. Over $400, guys, on a refillable bottle. I mean, who's refilled this stuff? I want to know, has anybody here actually bought, like, say, Outlands, arguably the best one out of all the essences, and who's actually gone to an Amouage boutique and refilled one? Probably in the Middle East, probably in Harrods. I've never seen an Amouage boutique here that even offers any of that, and I'm in LA. So anyways, I don't know about the whole refill thing, if that's even like plausible for everybody around the world, but one thing's for sure is that this fragrance is not cheap. They're never cheap. This is like the most expensive out of Amouage, guys. So try this first. That is one thing I will say. Get some relatively inexpensive samples from Venba. I will link them below, and just type it out like Amouage Sequence like sample, and you'll find it down there. This is a try first because you can actually use this. You know, it's definitely usable and it's definitely likable. Again, gives me Julien London vibes over Frederic Malle the Moon vibes. So I would say try that first, guys, and see before you buy. It's not a blind buy type of fragrance without a doubt, but definitely try this first. And that is it. That is my no hype review on one of the three new Essences collection right here, Amouage Sequence. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance. If you've actually tried it, I'm actually curious, guys, what y'all think. And you know, if you're an old head like me, I consider myself an old head now, like more than 5 years down the line. What do you think about the comparisons between this one and the Moon? I would love to know on the comments below. There are no right or wrong answers as long as you're respectful to me and other people in the comments. I'll definitely allow it in this channel. All right, and I will be reviewing the other two. Comment below if you would like to me to review the other two, and which one would you like me to review next. Comment below, and that's probably what I'll do, because I go with what you guys want me to talk about. Okay, so up next also is going to be Brompton Immortals Extrait. Michael Nowicki sent me that fragrance. Absolutely beautiful fragrance. Can't wait to review that. So I will see you guys on the next video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. God bless. Take care. Peace.